Mm-hmm. Intently looking at my notes. Intently looking at my notes! This time it's actually not just for show or dramatic effect. I actually do have a lot of notes this time because there's a lot of stuff to cover. What's funny is this morning when I was thinking of a video to make today, I was like, you know what? Let's just do an easy one today. Let's just do an update video on who's fighting who on Onigashima. But I already made a video on who's who fighting Jinbei, so I guess we'll just do a video on literally who is fighting everybody at Onigashima, alright? I made a video like this last year right before Onigashima got started, where I just made my predictions. You know, I made a giant list of every character that can conceivably show up at Onigashima and who I thought they were going to fight. Some of them I got right, some of them I got wrong. A lot of times a character would start fighting somebody else, and then that fight would shift to somebody else, and then somebody else again. So a lot of moving parts right now in Onigashima, and we're not even through Act 3 yet. Part of me really does think maybe Oda's just going to keep the entire Onigashima war as Act 3, right? And you could still have Act 4 and 5 be pretty quick. You know, they don't have to be as long as this. Act 3 is obviously the longest act in all of Wano. I still think he's going to keep to the 5-act structure, but at this point, like, there's been so many high points where he could have ended Act 3. I think we're just going to be chugging along with this. So, yeah, let's just get into it. We got a lot of stuff to talk about today. Also, for Ant Facts, we have the Bullet Ant, so that should be fun. I got two different notes in front of me. I got my One Piece notes, and I got my Ant Fact notes. Okay, so we're set. Let's do this. All right, let's start with the big man, dragon, fish, duck himself, Kaido. Well, he fought against Luffy, and he won! Actually, then he fought against Luffy again, and he won a second time. So, anybody, you know, remembering Crocodile right about now? I'm remembering Crocodile right about now. Third time's the charm, though. Luffy's gonna come back with a giant water tank on his back, and he's like, well, this worked last time, you know? And he sprays water at Kaido like a super soaker, and he's just like, this isn't really doing anything. He's like, dang it. He's like, you know what? If you actually filled that thing with sake, you might have been able to have an advantage against me, but hindsight's 2020. Bam! Knocks him off of Onigashima again. Alright, fourth time's the charm, Luffy. You can do this. Actually, that is a legitimate question. Like, Luffy's gonna come back and fight Kaido, obviously. Is he going to lose a third time? And you can't really say that's impossible, because he thought he was going to win the first time, and then he thought he was really going to win the second time, and then here we are. So he might come back and be like, okay, me and Momo came up with a bulletproof strategy. We got this! And then immediately gets defeated again, and he comes back, and the fourth time he wins. Okay, so we'll see. But Kaido at the moment is clashing with Yamato at the top of Onigashima. Yamato is up there holding off Kaido, waiting for Luffy to recover and return to the battlefield. Okay, so that battle just literally started in the last chapter, chapter 1016. So we will see where that goes. But that's where Kaido and Yamato are at right now. Moving on to the second strongest member of the Beast Pirates, we have King, the mighty Pteranodon. And King is still currently fighting Marco. We haven't really focused on their battle very much. I mean, even when the battle started, we didn't focus on it too much. I think there was that one chapter where we saw Marco kind of juggling King and Queen at the same time. So Marco has definitely got skills. He had the skills to deal with two Beast Pirates with an over 1 billion berry bounty, okay? But he did say that it's very tiring. Right now, Queen is dealing with Sanji, so you would assume King and Marco can just duke it out one-on-one, right? Now, aside from Marco, I also put Zoro down here because Zoro, after he's healed, you know, a few chapters ago, Sanji tossed him over to Chopper, and he's like, hey, he broke, you know, a couple dozen bones, I think, but whatever, you should be able to fix him up, and then he'll be worth 10 people. And then Zoro's off to the side, and he's like, actually, 2,000. And so Chopper's obviously going to heal up Zoro. I mean, he's going to need at least 2 gallons of good whole milk in order to heal all those broken bones, but I think Chopper can find some milk somewhere around Onigashima, right? That would be hilarious. I mean, like, at this point, why even bother with realism, Oda? Literally just have a scene where Chopper's taken off all of, you know, Zoro's bandages, and he sees how all banged up and bruised he is, and Chopper's like, oh no, this is horrible! And all the other members of, like, the Beast Pirates are trying to help out Chopper because he helped them out. Is like, you know, Choppermon, what do we need? He's like, I need milk! He's like, what milk? Stat! Batman, where's the kitchen? And it's like, all right, men, we'll go get some milk. And they just bring out a giant, like, milk carton, and they just, like, dunk it on Zoro, and he's just replenished. And then there you go. You have the greatest got milk commercial ever put to screen. Okay, there you go. But considering, you know, Queen is fighting against Sanji and Luffy's gonna fight against Kaido, I think it's pretty obvious at this point that Zoro is gonna fight against King after he heals, whether that be a tag battle with Marco, so Marco and Zoro fighting against King. Here's the thing. King can fly. Marco can fly. Zoro, that we know of so far, does not have the ability to fly. Although he did just awaken Conqueror's Haki, so I don't know. Zoro's like, you know what? Let me try something. He takes out two of his swords and starts flapping his arms like a bird, and he actually manages to stay airborne. I mean, hey, look, is it really that different from the principle that Luffy uses to fly when he goes into Gear 4? If he just, like, kicks the ground a lot of time to stay afloat, Zoro just has to flap his arms or, like, spin one of his swords around like a helicopter blade, and it's just like, there you go. That's how, it's like, don't worry, Marco, I got this. Sandai Katetsu! He just flies in the air and starts fighting against King. So a battle with Zoro and Marco together against King would be pretty cool. You know, like Marco lifting Zoro up and like tossing him at him, and then, you know, King has a sword as well. But if it really just comes down to like Marco being defeated, I think he's definitely pulled his weight so far in the arc, everything that he's done. And so Zoro versus King one-on-one would also be very epic. As I said, Sanji's currently fighting against Queen. Sanji's at a little bit of a disadvantage though, because he gave up the greatest sword in all of, you know, history. He gave up the Zoro sword to be healed by Chopper, so he's going into this fight with just what he's got, which is a pretty nice blazer, actually, a nice red colored magenta kind of blazer. So Queen obviously knows Sanji, or at least knows of him, because Queen used to work with Judge. Don't really know the history there, probably gonna find out more about it as this fight continues. But a lot of people want a really good Sanji fight, especially since what happened with Black Maria and everything, and so they're thinking, you know, Sanji, just get in there and start fighting. We have him going up against one of the All-Stars, so I think that's pretty good. This will probably be the final lockdown fight for Queen, and King probably as well. It'll be King versus Zoro, Queen versus Sanji. Queen had some other fights up until now against Chopper and, you know, the rest of the, you know, samurai and stuff. But when it comes right down to it, I think Sanji's going to be the one to beat down the Brachiosaur there. And then we have Jack, which is kind of a little bit of a break in the action here, because we have Luffy versus Kaido, Zoro versus King, Sanji versus Queen, Jack versus Inuarashi. And, you know, that makes perfect sense because Inuarashi fought against Jack alongside Nekomamushi at Zou, and that was a great moment there where we had the Jack stomping toward him and just like, you don't have a full moon down here, because they're like in the actual hall of Onigashima. And then Inuarashi's response is like, oh, that's funny. I was just thinking you don't have any poisonous gas weapons down here either. Let's do this, right? And so Jack's like, you old dog, you know, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. He's like, yeah, well, bring it on. Let's see. Because they do kind of know what each of them are capable of, right? Because they fought for like days at Zou. Like, it was a few days before Jack finally had to resort to that gas weapon that Caesar made, right? And so I feel like they have a good idea of how each of them fight. And it really just seemed like a stalemate, honestly, but that was with Inuarashi fighting alongside Nekomamushi. It seemed like kind of a stalemate for days and days until Jack finally used the gas weapons. So at this point, Nekomamushi is not fighting with Inuarashi, and also, yeah, Jack doesn't have the gas weapon, but Inuarashi doesn't have the moon, and they're both heavily injured. So if it's just straight up fight between the two of them, I feel like Inuarashi is smarter than Jack, so he could probably come up with some sort of tactic in order to get the upper hand and defeat him, or play to Jack's weaknesses, which he's a very arrogant man, you know, or he's just like, I'm gonna stomp you, minx. He's just like, use that anger against him. So I think Inuarashi does have a good chance of winning, but they're still very banged up. Both of them are, so it could really go either way there. Then we have, now after the All-Stars, we have the Tobi Roppo. Who's Who is fighting against Jinbei. That's been a pretty consistent fight. Jinbei, apparently, well, no, Who's Who apparently knows Jinbei from back during his days as a member of the Seven Warlords of the Sea. We we don't know what that history is, or if who's somebody that we've met before in the story, or, you know, because Jinbei was a member of the Warlords for, I think, over 10 years. I think it was like 10 or 11 years he was a Warlord, so that's a lot of time there for him to meet and encounter and fight a lot of other people. It might have just been somebody from his past there, might even have some kind of, maybe a connection to Fisher Tiger in some way. Like, I don't really know how that happened. Maybe, the Sun Pirates, you know, attacked a Marine vessel a while back, and maybe Who's Who used to be a Marine. That's an option, and then he left the Marines and joined the Beast Pirates and got really strong and got the saber-tooth fruit, and, you know, now he's fighting against Jinbei, like, hey, I remember you. I think Who's Who is the oldest member of the Tobiroppo. I think he's like 38, 39 years old, so, you know, they both have a long storied history. We'll see where that goes, but yeah, I don't see Who's Who fighting against anybody else other than Jinbei. And then Sasaki, likewise, is fighting Frankie. Pretty much set in stone there. I mean, Frankie has, you know, his armored body, plus the Frankie Shogun, your Iron Pirate Frankie Shogun, and then, of course, you have Sasaki that can transform into a giant Triceratops, or maybe a regular-sized Triceratops. So yeah, armor versus armor, you know, steel versus dinosaur, you know, those two go up. And in Pokemon, it's steel types are strong against dinosaur types, right? Yeah, that's how that works. So, yeah, I'm hoping that fight, I mean, Frankie's gonna win, obviously, but I really just, that's probably the one next to the Black Maria and the Robin and Brooke fight I just kind of want to see focused on the most. Like, if the next 2 chapters of One Piece are just like, alright, we're gonna cut away from Kaido and Yamato for a while and the All-Stars, let's just do 2 chapters where Frankie fights against Sasaki. I'm like, okay, grab the popcorn for that one. I want to see some laser beams, alright. I want to see Frankie firing laser beams, and I also want to see Sasaki firing a laser beam from his horn. That would be neat. Then Black Maria fighting against Robin and Brooke. That's probably the best matchup there. For one thing, Brooke has the ice powers, which can freeze Black Maria's webs. That helps. Sanji did do something there. It's not like he did nothing. He defeated, like, a good chunk of Black Maria's, like, little clique that she had. You know, at least all the male fighters he defeated previously, right? And then you have Robin showing up with her Hana Hana no Mi, where I'm hoping she does some really cool, like, Guanyin Bodhisattva thing and creates, like, a giant version of herself with, like, 1,000 arms, and then just beats the ever-loving crap out of Black Maria, and, you know, Brooke's there to support her. I think they'll both be fine. That'll be their major fight, and then that's all the members of the Tobiroppo. They're already down by half. Ulti was taken out by Big Mom, but also Nami delivering the finishing blow there, and then you had Page One, who was just directly taken out by Big Mom. Yeah, Usopp threw some pop greens at him. He dealt, like, some damage to Page One, but it was really Big Mom's fist that finished him off for good there. And then we have X-Drake, or Diaz Drake, that defected, so he's now on the Rebellion side. And speaking of Drake, I was actually just trying to figure out who he was going to fight, because the last time we saw him, haven't focused on him in a while, but the last time we saw him was that chapter all about Hyorogoro, you know, Hyorogoro of the Flowers, where he took out all of the Mimawarigumi and the Oniwanbanshu in, like, one attack. Not all of them, but a good chunk of them. We also had Drake standing next to him, and so everybody was freaking out, like, that's Hyorogoro of the Flowers fighting against Diaz Drake, it's fighting alongside Diaz Drake, you know, this is gonna be wild. So, I'm going to assume Apu is still around. I mean, he was beaten down several times and also betrayed by Queen and everybody, but I still feel like he's around somewhere. I think Drake is going to deal with Apu. The same way that Hawkins is fighting against Killer right now, keeping these fights in the worst generation going on. I think Drake is going to find Apu and start fighting against him. Maybe we'll finally get to see what Apu's Devil Fruit is called, unless Oda forgot about that as well. The same thing he did about kids. You know, maybe. I don't know. I thought I could have sworn I released Apu's Devil Fruit name already. He's like, no, you didn't, but, you know, I still want to see some stuff with Apu, because he is a member of the Worst Generation. We got a little bit more detail on how his power works and everything, but I feel like in a one-on-one fight, you know, we could really see, like, a full range of Apu's, like, musical skills, and see how a dinosaur stacks up against that, alright? So, I don't want Apu to just be, you know, taken out of the battle like he was just punched once or twice or 3 times or whatever, and he's like, okay, he's down, he's not coming back. I want to see a full fight with him. There was a lot of build-up with his betrayal and everything, and his allying with Kaido, so yeah, let's keep it rolling there. Let's have Drake fight against Apu. And then, continuing on with the Worst Generation, we then have Hawkins, who is a headliner on Kaido's crew. I don't know if he still considers himself a headliner, or with all this crazy nonsense going on, he's like, well, I'm still here, I still have to fight, it is what the cards foretold. But when it comes down to the actual, like, status of him and the crew, he's like, well, I guess I'm still technically a headliner right now, but depending on this battle, I might just leave, or I might be dead, whatever the cards foretell. So Hawkins is fighting against Killer, and we haven't really cut back to that fight at all. I don't think we even saw, like, what they're doing, like, in a little panel or anything like that. So, yeah, but that's probably going to be their set fight there. It's a little bit of a shame, because I really wanted Killer and Kid to fight Big Mom, and we have Kid and Law right now fighting Big Mom, so that's definitely something, but who knows, maybe Killer might defeat... We're assuming that these battles are all going to end with both parties being completely worn out, and that's actually something that has not really happened, you know, in Onigashima. Like, we had all of the scabbards going up against Kaido, and they all got defeated, but then they were healed, and now they're going back to fight again, okay? So, not all of these fights, like the fight with Hawkins and Killer doesn't have to end with, like, Hawkins, Killer, and then boom, and then they both drop and they're unconscious until the end of the battle. You know, it could be a thing where, like, Killer takes out his scythe blades, really, you know, he is a steel type against a grass type, which in this case, that is super effective, you know, cutting down all of the, like, wheat to the scythe, you know? So cuts down Hawkins, maybe Killer might take some damage too, he falls on the ground, but, you know, maybe give him a few minutes of unconsciousness, Killer gets back up, he's like, oh, ugh, ugh, okay, I'm back. All right, and then he goes to help Kid and Law out, maybe. Who knows, right? And then Hawkins is defeated. Continuing on there, since I just mentioned it, Kid is fighting against Big Mom, same thing as Law, their respective crews. So, Killer against Hawkins, Wire and Heat, the two other most prominent members of the Kid Pirates. Last time we checked, they were just fighting random members of the Beast crew. Probably most likely other headliners and gifters along the way. I feel like Pleasures and Waiters are kind of beneath them. Heat is the one that can breathe fire, and Wire is the dude with, like, he has, like, the cult robe and the, you know, pitchfork and everything. I feel like those are the third and fourth strongest members of Kid's crew behind, you know, Kid and Killer themselves. So I feel like they're probably dealing with some really, you know, hard-hitting gifters or headliners right now. And then we have Beppo, Sachi, and Penguin. Likewise, they were like the most prominent members of Law's crew, the Heart Pirates, and they were fighting against, you know, some gifters as well. Let's see. I think I went through all the members of the Straw Hats already, because I kind of wrote down both lists. I kind of wrote down, you know, like, here's the top members of the Beast Pirates, and then here's all the Straw Hats and Kid Pirates and Heart Pirates, just to keep it all straight there. Luffy's out of the battle currently. Zoro is technically out of the battle. I didn't mention Chopper. Okay, so Chopper right now is healing Zoro. That's, I'm assuming, not going to take the rest of the arc. I mean, you could always have Chopper delegated to the thing that he does best, you know, being a doctor. So, you know, he heals Zoro, and then he's like, okay, I could go and fight some more, or I could stay here and tend to the wounded. Now, it is going to be a little difficult to do that because they're fighting on the live stage where there's just like a bunch of fights going on at once. That's not really a safe location to heal people. So he might just be like, all right, start moving everybody, all the injured, off of the live stage into the tower, trying to find a place that's relatively safe, at least indoors, that Chopper can kind of tend to the wounded. But it's going to be very, very difficult. It'd be very funny if Chopper was like, we need to find a safe room where everybody can be healed, and they're looking around the Onigashima towers, and they bust into the CP0 hanging out in their indestructible reception room, and Chopper's like, sorry to disturb you, you know, like, that would be funny. But yeah, Chopper after healing Zoro, what do you think? Do you think he's going to go back into the fight? Honestly speaking, you know, why can't he? Why can't Chopper heal up Zoro, and then if the fight with Sanji and Queen is still going on, round 2, right? Chopper's like, I'll help you out, Sanji. Bam, bam, oh, you stupid Tanuki. And Sanji dabble jambes him in the face. Like, oh, damn it. You know, it's like 2-on-1, which in this case, it's pretty fair, Queen. You're a brachiosaur, okay? That's a large size dino. I think, you know, it could be 2-on-1 in that particular instance. But who knows? He might just, because there are a lot of injured people on the hull. There are a lot of people bleeding out, you know, samurai and beast pirates alike. And that would probably do nothing but then just strengthen the bond that the beast pirates, that defective, have to Chopper. You know, so Chopper not only is healing his own crewmate, but then after he's healed, Zoro's healed, he goes to help the other members of the beast pirates and the samurai rebellion, regardless of which side they're on, right? And so he's like, man, Mr. Tanuki, you're so awesome. That's great. I'm not a Tanuki. I keep telling you I'm not a Tanuki. All right, fine, but Choppermon is like, okay, whatever, I'll take it. Yeah, just help me get the injured over here so I can start healing them, right? That's probably what Chopper's going to do. Nami and Usopp, I brought this up in the last review with Ulti and Page 1 out. What are they going to do next, okay? They are pretty banged up. I mean, Usopp took a pretty bad skull bash to the face a few times by Ulti. But they're not, like, unconscious yet. They can still clearly move around and fight, and Nami just got an upgrade to her climb attack, you know, with the mighty Zeus. So I think they could still fight. They might just join in on the general brawl, you know, like just the general brawl with all the waiters and pleasures and gifters still in the hall, but Otama's gonna give those orders, okay? And let's move on to that right now. I think I talked about all the other Straw Hats, you know, Brooks fighting Black Maria with Robin, Frankie, Sasaki, Jinbei, who's who. Yeah, so Otama, right now, under her control, we know there's Speed, Daifugo from the prison, the Scorpion dude, Babanuki, who was the Elephant Smile user, but he's still over at the prison. I don't think Babanuki came with them to Onigashima. He might have. I just missed him. And then Gazelle Man, okay? There's probably a few other gifters. In fact, we know there's a few other gifters that might not have names that are working for Otama right now. But that's about to change because she's about to give her order. Now, there are, and I missed this last time I did this big list video last year, there are confirmed to be about 500 gifters on Kaido's crew. 500. And upon arriving at Onigashima, we saw a scene with Tama creating a bunch of the dongos with her Kibi Kibi no Mi in order to feed all of these gifters. However, it was also mentioned she cannot create an infinite number of those things. It's very similar to Law's fruit, the Api Api no Mi, where it drains his stamina. Okay, so she gets to a certain point where she creates all these dongos, these millet dongos, and then she just gets really tired and, like, you know, weak and she can't make anymore, right? So there's a set limit to how many she can make. Did she make 500? That's the question, right? Because even if she didn't make exactly 500, she made a lot. She made a crap ton of these things, okay? And so Speed and Daifugo and the other Smile users that were already under her control were going around feeding them to the other gifters. And so there's definitely going to be a big chunk of the gifters that are going to be swayed. Also, Otama gave them to Speed, and Speed knows who all the gifters are, right? She's been on the crew, so she's like, oh, you're a gifter. Here, have one, have one, have one. Okay, so I really think a good solid chunk of the gifters, maybe not every single one, but a good majority of them have consumed the dongo and they're ready to receive orders, okay? And we saw a lot of the headliners who are gifters along the way here, like Luffy fighting through a bunch of them. We have Briscola, who's the gorilla dude. We have Fortrix, who was the chicken dude. We have Hamlet, who is a giraffe. We have Mizurka, who I believe was that woman that also had a gorilla power, and like her body was coming out of the gorilla's stomach. That was a really weird one, remember that? And then we have Poker. Poker was the snake smile, and I feel really bad for Poker, because he was the one that was like, all right, Straw Hat Luffy's on the 3rd floor, which means he's going to come up the 4th floor stairwell to fight me, and he's just hanging out the stairwell getting ready for a fight. But then not Sanji, I think it was actually just the members of the Udon prison helped out Luffy. Like, here, Luffy, there's a ladder that takes you directly to the roof. And then Luffy just skipped over over Poker, and he's like, where are they? And so Poker's probably going to be fighting for Otama. But those are only like a few out of the 500 gifters that are around in Onigashima. There were those insect smile users that were fighting against Zoro. Remember, that were like the Hercules beetle and everything like that, the praying mantis lady that Zoro was fighting against. So there's a lot of gifters that are unnamed on Onigashima. I can't imagine like every single one of them, all 500 would be in the same location, but there's going to be a big chunk of them that are going to switch over, okay? Plus all of the pleasures and the waiters that are now working on the side of the rebellion as well. So those are the gifters. Let's talk about the scabbards really quick. Kinemon is pretty much out of the fight right now. He put up one, though. He definitely put up a fight. But after taking a direct head slam from Kaido's Kanabo, plus getting stabbed right through the back by him, I don't think Kinemon's going to be able to get back up and fight. I mean, it sucks because we never really got a one-on-one brawl with him where he does, like, the foxfire. You know, he has two-sword style that can light things on fire. That's some cool stuff right there. And yeah, we saw it when he was, like, slicing the fire up on top. He was slicing Kaido's fire. But there's a lot of intricacies I imagine he can do with that, fighting, like, just a regular opponent instead of a giant dragon, you know, and we're not going to see that probably. I think Kinemon's not dead, but he's out of the fight. I mean, he took some serious hits from Kaido. Denjiro. We don't know where Denjiro's at right now. I looked into this. I wrote down Denjiro, and I'm like, yeah, what is he doing right now? And so I went back, and after the scabbards recovered from their injuries, and, you know, Ashura Doji, you know, sacrificed himself to get, you know, the fake Odin out of there, they all escaped, and they all ran off in different directions. Denjiro ran off. We don't know what's up with him since. So Denjiro, I mean, he's so powerful. Like, he is honestly, like, probably the strongest of the scabbards. Like, let me just double check this really quick. Yeah, he's probably stronger than Kinemon. Ashura, yeah, probably stronger than him. Neko and Inu, Kawamatsu, Izo. If I had to pick the strongest member of the 9 Red Scabbards, I would pick Denjiro. It was already kind of the setup that Sasaki and Denjiro, back when he was Kyoshiro, they were like drinking buddies. They were like good friends. So that would be an interesting fight. Yeah, let's go with that. Let's go with Sasaki fighting against Frankie and Denjiro. Okay, that's a pretty good one. Kiku is out of the fight. You know, she took some pretty heavy damage there. She lost an arm to Kaido, and then she got defeated by Kanjuro. She got stabbed right through the stomach, and so she's down. I don't think she's dead either, but yeah, she's not gonna be able to fight anymore. Ashura got taken out. You know, Ashura, that really sucks, because we had that whole chapter, like, it was titled, like, Ashura Doji, the leader of the head mountain bandits, alright? So I was like, wow, this is gonna be a chapter. This is gonna be Ashura Doji's chapter. And he's like, guys, get out of here, and he jumps on Odin and just explodes, okay? So he's obviously not dead either, but, like, I really want Ashura to get back up and fight. You know what I mean? Like, he deserves a straight-up battle. I mean, he sliced Jack, and he's like, oh, wow, he's really strong? Like, Ashura would probably be number 2 to me of the strongest scabbards, but I guess that depends on whether or not he, you know, can get back up after this explosion or whatever. He fought against Odin back in Odin's younger days, like when Odin was kind of like, not at his strongest, but he was pretty strong, and he fought against Odin there all night. I mean, Ashura Doji's got some skills, and it just sucks if he's just out of the fight forever. Then we have Raizo, who's currently engaging in pitched ninja combat with Fuku Rokuju. Love saying that. Inuarashi's fighting Jack. Nekomamushi's fighting Perospero. Well, not yet, but Nekomamushi is out for blood and wants to fight against Perospero. You know, he met Sicilian, and he told him, well, first off told him, hey, by the way, did you know Pedro died? Like, Pedro died? I'm like, yeah, you were kind of out of the loop for a while. He's dead, and his murderer is here on the island, who's Perospero, who's not really the murderer of Pedro. I mean, like, Perospero is an asshole, and I want him to get defeated, preferably by Carrot and Wanda. But you do have to kind of feel for him a little bit, where Perospero is like, I'm not the one that killed Pedro! You people keep telling me I'm the one that did that! He blew himself up, for God's sake! I did not force him to do that, although I will say, if Perospero was not there, would Pedro still be alive? You feel like if he wasn't there in that one particular instance, yeah, Pedro would be still alive. So therefore, it is your fault, Perospero. So yeah, he's not currently fighting against him. Perospero was knocked out by Queen when Sanji showed up and kicked him with the rotisserie technique. So I would like to imagine Perospero got knocked away right into the waiting arms of Nekomamushi, and then that's where that fight starts up, with Shisalian also being there. One of the members of the, wait, Shisalian, he was one of the Musketeers, right? Yeah, he was a Musketeer. He wasn't a Guardian. But yeah, Nekomamushi with his Catling gun. Maybe you can also get oh, my pen. Maybe you can also get Carrot and Wanda back into the fight. That would be nice, because I really want Carrot to be the one to finish off Perospero, if anybody's going to do it. Then we finally have Kawamatsu and Izo. We saw those two together running with Sanji, and then Sanji dropped Zoro, went to go fight against Queen, so I guess Kawamatsu and Izo are still right there in the live stage at the festival hall. Whether they're going to help Sanji fight against Queen or just engage in the general battles, I do not know. Izo and Kawamatsu are pretty tough. They're not like the strongest warriors around, but they are pretty tough. And Izo was, you know, a division commander on Whitebeard's crew and all that stuff. But yeah, I think I don't really see them fighting against anybody major right now. I just personally don't see that. I just see them helping out with like the general battle or the fight with Queen if they are gonna fight against anybody, because Queen's like right there, right? Maybe they might help Chopper out, help the wounded a little bit, maybe. I would like to see Kawamatsu bust out more of his like sumo moves. Like, that was really neat to see. But yeah. All right, so that's that section of the page. What's next? The Oniwanbanshu. All right. This was a pain in the ass to go through every member of the Oniwanbanshu. A lot of them we don't really know anything about, and try to check to see, like, where are they at right now, okay? So, Fuku Rokuju is their leader. I'm sorry, Fuku Rokuju! Wang Zhi! Alright, we're good. Fuku Rokuju is currently fighting against Raizo in ninja combat. That is definitely a fight I want to see expanded upon. But other than that, Daikoku and Kazekage, not Gara, Kazekage, were both said to be defeated by Hyorogoro. When Hyorogoro did, like, the flaming hair light strike or whatever it was called, you know, he wiped out a bunch of the members of the Oniwaban and the Mimawarigumi, and it was mentioned directly that Daikoku and Kazekage were those members that were defeated. Then we have Fujin and Raijin. This is interesting. They're the ones that were, you know, obviously the lightning and the wind gods, respectfully. They were riding on top of the giant catfishes, you know? And so they were actually shown to be defeated before the battle at Onigashima even started. They chased Zoro and Hiyori into Hakumai, into the forest, and that's where Zoro, like, cut them down right there. Are they still defeated or dead? Or, you know, they weren't, you know, recovered enough to go fight at Onigashima? I don't know if we saw them or not. I might have missed them. There's a lot of chaos in Onigashima right now, right? But that was like the last record I had for where they were at. They were both chasing after Zoro in Hakumai before the Fire Festival even started, and then Zoro cut them down. They might be dead, they might be so wounded they can't fight, or they might have been there the whole time and I just didn't see them. Then we have Hanzo, Chome, Jigoku, Bishamon, Yazemon, and then Sarutobi. And from what I understand, they're still around. We saw them all kind of dealing with the Ice Oni. Even if they were affected by the Ice Oni virus, Choppers, you know, Phage, Nebulizer, or whatever had healed them now. I'm imagining they are still fighting on the side of the Beast Pirates. They're not going to be like the Waiters and Pleasures and just give up. They are still going to fight on the side of the Beast Pirates that they swore allegiance towards. So they're still going to be enemies. Maybe if they show up again, maybe then you can have like Kawamatsu and Izo fight against, you know, the members of the Oniwanbanshu. I think that would maybe work there. I know Bishamon had the ability of water escape. They all have, like, their special, like, ninjutsus that Oda revealed. Like, Chome was the girl. She specializes in paralysis jutsu. Jigoku was the one that had the biwa that's also a rifle. Bishamon is the one with the water escape ninjutsu. Yazemon is the one with the arrows that can, like, have extending, like, arrow arms. And then Sarutobi, I think, was the summoning technique. Either the summoning technique or he had the illusion technique, like the genjutsu technique or something like that. But they're still around. So, and then Hanzo as well. Hanzo's the big guy, the big ninja with the yellow outfit that recognized Shinobu. Remember him? Then we have the Mimawarigumi. We only know, I think we actually only have seen 5 of them, like 5 notable ones, and we only know the name of one of them, which is Hote, who was the commander that was defeated by Hyorogoro. Okay, so Hyorogoro in his like last attack defeated Hote. Also defeated the member of the Mimawarigumi. We never got his name, but he's wearing like a bunny mask. Defeated him. And then we also have the guy that was wearing a cool helmet. And then the dude that looked like his skin was made out of stone. And then the woman that was wearing the mask. And we don't know any of their names. But those are like the 5 most prominent members of the Mimawarigumi. But I think there was like... I think it was stated to be, like, a lot of them. There were, like, thousands of the samurai that worked under the Mimawarigumi that are in the hall. Most of them are probably just riffraff, but still, you know, I don't think the Mimawarigumi... I got really, you know, excited for them. I thought they were going to do something really cool, you know, because they're based off of, like, the Shinsengumi or whatever. Like, these are the top samurai that worked under Orochi. Thought we would get something really neat, but then Hote apparently was the strongest out of all of them, and he got one shot to be Hyorogoro. So I don't think the Mimawarigumi are really gonna have a big deal there. Have the ninjas fight against the Mimawarigumi. That would be nice. Have the ninjas stay loyal to Fuku Rokuju, and he's like, we fight for Orochi still. I'm like, okay. And then have the Mimawarigumi like, screw that, we're gonna fight on the rebellion side, and then have ninjas fight against samurai. Like that arc in Naruto, where ninjas fought against samurai. The numbers. Let's talk about the numbers. There's a lot of stuff to cover here. The numbers are next. The numbers kind of suck, guys. So, like, half of the numbers are already defeated. Like, they're already gone, okay? We got introduced to them, these giants amongst giants that were artificially created at Punk Hazard. They were, like, the size of oars. Some of them were, Jockey, who was number 4. He was, like, the short, stout kind of giant, but he was still really big. And then we had, like, Goki and Juki that represented number 5 and number 10, respectfully. They were huge, okay? But they were all there, basically, as just just to show how strong, like, Luffy and the others have gotten, where it took a whole crew to fight against an Oars-sized opponent pre-time skip. Post-time skip, Luffy one-shots Goki, Frankie one-shots Jockey with his Radical Beam, Drake one-shots Juki, Yamato one-shots Hacha, number 8, and then the Minks defeated Nangi, number 7, when they came up on top of the roof before the Scabbards fought before Scabbards fought against Kaido. There was like that pre-match entertainment, you know, where the Jack showed up with Nangi and all of the other members of the Beast Pirates, like, we're gonna fight first, and then, you know, you see how that happened. So 5 of the numbers already defeated. 4, 10, 5, 7, and 8. Apologizes for not going in order. That's just how I wrote them down. However, these are in order. These are the numbers that are still around, and we don't even know what they look like yet, other than, like, silhouette. Number 1, number 2, number 3, number 6, and number 9. If this is anything like the Espada, maybe the higher the numbers, maybe the stronger they are. I doubt that, because Jockey was one shot by Frankie. Nothing against Frankie, he's a damn cyborg. But if it really did go from, like, strongest number 1 to weakest number 10, I feel like number 4 shouldn't have been taken out that easily. Unless you want to do a thing where it's like, oh yes, the numbers, you know, they all came from Onigashima. I mean, they all came from Punk Hazard to Onigashima, but the first 3 were like the prototype experiments that Vegapunk was messing with and whatever, and they're like the most brutal and the strongest out of all of them, and maybe they have devil fruit powers too, who knows. I mean, you could do something like that, because it is a little bit weird. I will say that 1, 2, and 3 haven't been shown yet, haven't been mentioned yet, outside of like just the group shots. Like, we saw them in the group shot, they were all silhouetted. So, 1, 2, and 3, my anime senses are tingling. We'll see where this goes. Number 1 pulls out guns like Stark. Number 2 is like the Grim Reaper. And number 3 is a sexy shark like Haribel. And we'll see where this pans out there. Actually, if you're going to go that route with it, like, let's say numbers 1, 2, and 3 are actually pretty tough. Maybe they have devil fruit powers, they know some hockey, like, they're really strong. They're not just crazy berserkers like the other ones we've seen so far. If that's the case, have Kawamatsu and Izo fight against number 1. Have Nami and Usopp fight against number 2. Have, who else needs a matchup here that we really like? Have Chopper fight against number 3. Like, there you go. Like, if they're really going to be a big deal, use them, right? But there's still 5 of them, and then numbers 6 and 9 that we don't know anything about either. I think we saw 9 in a silhouette, and we know it was 9 because they all have a laughter style that's indicative of their number. So number 9 in Japanese is Q, and so KYU, and so number 9, we heard one of the numbers laughing like Q, 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 Q. So that's number 9. But yeah, I don't think, that's just headcanon. I don't think they're all ranked like strength. I think they're just ranked as like, you were the first number created, number 1. You're the second, number 2. But maybe the earlier ones are stronger because maybe they're more unpredictable or whatever, you know, whatever. Also, okay, this doesn't really work too well, but number 8, Hacha, was the one that was first introduced, and he looked the most human out of all of them. So I was thinking maybe the first few were all monsters, and then when you started getting into the later numbers, like maybe 8 and 9 and 10, they looked more human. And we don't know what 9 looks like yet, granted, but we did see number 10, Juki, and he was just as much like a monster as like Goki and Jockey were, number 4 and 5. So I think I'm thinking too much into it. I think they're just like, you're a giant monster, number 1. You're the second giant monster, number 2. And then there you go. You're the numbers, right? But we'll see what goes with the rest of them. I put Orochi and CP0 in a nice little box down here by themselves because Orochi's just kind of going around setting fire to the place, and CP0 is in their little reception room. I did a whole video about them yesterday, so go check into that if you want to know about what the CP0 are up to. But other than that, and then Carrot and Wanda are both knocked out by Perospero, but I hope they come back into the fight. Other than that, though, we only have one more group on here, and that's the Big Mom Pirates. Big Mom's fighting against Kid and Law. Maybe Killer will show up for the fun later. Who knows? And Perospero, the first son of Big Mom, is probably most likely going to fight against Nekomamushi. Okay. What about all the other ones? Like Smoothie, and Daifuku, and Compote, who's the first daughter, and Galette, and the dude that has the fire, the flamethrowers in his wrists. I forget. Who else came with them? Custard. Custard came with them. She's pretty tough. Smoothie particularly is the strongest probably out of the, because she's the sweet commander, right? So Smoothie's there. They are currently still at the bottom of a waterfall, apparently. And they've been there for over a year of serialization. So first, you know, you had the moment with King knocking them all off, and then they came back up again for the banquet, and then Marco knocked them all off. I have to feel like, are they just at the bottom of the waterfall, like, screw it, we're not going back up? Or did the Queen Mama Shanter actually get, like, destroyed when Marco knocked it off? And it was like, they got lucky the first time, but the second time it actually just smashed against a rock and their boat just got obliterated, you know, which sucks for the boat because it is a homie, it is sentient. It's like, I'm a ship, hey, look, a phoenix, no! It's like, there's just pieces of driftwood everywhere, and the ship is like, I'm a ship, please! Oh, put me back together, please! And then Smoothie and the others are like, ah! You know, so they're at the bottom trying to, like, fix the ship or whatever, or it's just dead, and they're like, alright, we need to figure out some other way to get to the top of this damn island. And then Daifuku is like, no, screw this. We are not going up this waterfall again, Smoothie. Alright? First it was a Pteranodon, next it was a damn phoenix. We go up there, dollars to donuts, there's gonna be a giant griffin or some shit that's gonna knock us off over the side. Some other way. Now, there is another way. They can go up through the Mogura port in Hakumai that takes them underground into a tunnel, and then an elevator that lifts them up that's into the country. There's an easier way to gain access to Wano. So, if they know about that, then they can get in that way. But otherwise, it's going to be pretty tough. But it is kind of funny because, yeah, I understand. We just had a whole arc. We had Totland all about Big Mom's kids. And, you know, Oda wants to focus on, like, no, this is that actually does make a lot of sense now. Is like, the Big Mom pirates are about to get in Onigashima, and Oda's like, not yet, kick them off again. I don't want to, I already focused on them. I want to focus on the Beast Pirates for a while. I want to showcase off all of my wacky headliner designs, and, you know, the Toby Roppo. You know, we already did Big Mom's family. We'll get to them later. So Oda's literally just pushing them off to the side, and just like, they'll get there later. I'll tell you what, though, don't overlook that. Don't think of that as a joke. I mean, it is pretty funny that they keep getting knocked off the damn waterfall, but eventually they're going to probably make it to Onigashima, and it might be in a later stage in the battle, and that might actually sway things in the Beast Pirates' favor. I mean, I'm telling you what, Smoothie, Daifuku, Compo can probably do some really cool stuff. Galette is there, Montdor. They all show up. That is going to be a major boon to Big Mom's side of things. Even if Big Mom is like, Mama, you're finally here, my beloved children, and now we shall fight against the rebellion and Kaido. Maybe that's part of her master plan. I don't know. But, you know, for right now, they're put off to the side so Oda can focus on the Beast Pirates and flesh them out a bit. But eventually they're gonna show up. Although, it would be pretty damn hilarious if it's like, oh god. All right, I think that's everything on the list. So before we get into Ant Facts, let me leave you with this, all right? They got knocked off of the waterfall. The Queen Mama Shanter did not get completely obliterated, but it did get damaged heavily, okay? So they don't know about the Mogura port or anything, so it's like, all right, the only way to get back up there is with a ship. So they're down there right now fixing the ship, and they're all working together. You know, you have Daifuku's genie coming out and help, you know. It's like, what do you demand of me, my master? Oh, just grab a hammer and fix the ship. He's like, okay. So they're all fixing the ship up, right? It's going to take a while. It's going to take maybe a few hours, you know, a while to fix the ship up and get the sails all ready. It's like, okay, we have the ship fixed. Everything's good. Anti-air rifles ready for anything that might hit us when we arrive. Any pteranodons or phoenix or any other flying creatures that might kick us off the damn waterfall for the third time in a row. Everybody good? All right. And so Smoothie and Daifuku are maybe the ones that, like, you know, push it out to sea, like, all right, let's do this. And so they sail up. At that exact moment, Big Mom is defeated by Kid and Law or whatever. And so they, like, maybe the fight gets pushed outside Onigashima. And remember, with Onigashima moving around, right? Oh, yeah, they wouldn't even... Onigashima's gone, so they might have to go to mainland Wano. That might be something else. Anyway, it'd be hilarious if Law and Kid, they defeat Big Mom somehow, and then Law uses his powers to, like, Kid's like, you know, get her off of the island. And he's like, you don't have to tell me twice, Eustace, damn. Room, pops her off of the freaking Onigashima when she's unconscious, so maybe it's easier. And then she just starts falling, and as soon as the Queen Mama Shanter, we finally made it! No! Boom! And then Big Mom just slams into the ship and then knocks it down the waterfall for a third time in a row. And then that's how the big, and then after that, they're just like, you know what? We're done. We're done. Screw Wano. Let's go home, mama. Let's go back home. This is ridiculous. You know, we have to scrap together a little dinghy and just get out of here. You know, Daifuku, can you have your genie carry us? And he's just like, whatever, let's just leave. You know, this place sucks. You know, all right, so yeah, that would be pretty funny. Okay, but anyway, that's all the fights I have that are going on right now in Wano. Those are all the characters I guess I covered. Yeah, I think I got everybody. All right, so anyway, moving on to Ant Facts next, but thanks for watching the video. This will be Tekking and Barry signing out for this segment, but the next segment, Ant Facts, lives on. Cue that hard rock intro.
Ant Facts, facts about ants and other insects, but mostly ants.
Yep, alright. So today, as I said yesterday, we were talking about the bullet ant. And I don't think this ant really needs any introduction, okay? It is considered by the Schmidt Pain Index to be the most painful sting in the entire insect kingdom. Now, I mentioned Coyote Peterson last time, so I am a fan of Brave Wilderness and his channel. And I've seen him, you know, go through all the different sting pain index. So there's some cases where you might argue, like, maybe this was more painful than the bullet ant. But, you know, suffice to say, you do not want to get stung by the bullet ant. So very much like the fire ant, it does have a stinger, but it can also bite you. The thing that I did want to mention, and the major ant fact here, and I watched a documentary on this years ago. It was a very long time ago, but there's been a few documentaries about this because it is very fascinating. There is an indigenous tribe that lives in the Amazon. I'm going to try to pronounce their name, but I apologize if I screw it up. The Sater Mawe, I think Mawe, they just go by that sometimes, so I'll just say Mawe. They're an indigenous tribe that live in the Amazon, and they have a very interesting initiation rite for the warriors of their tribe. If you want to be considered, this is hardcore shit right here. If you want to be considered a true warrior to the Mawe people, you got to wear a specially made, it kind of looks like an oven mitt a little bit, but with bullet ants stinging you through the glove. Like they wedge the bullet ants into the glove, they weave it into the glove, you know, dozens of them for each glove, and the stingers are facing inside, and then you wear the gloves, and you're getting, you know, continuously stung. You got to wear that glove, both of them, for 5 minutes. And then you get them taken off, and you imagine very woozy. It's a neurotoxin they're introducing into your system. It's poneratoxin. Not fun. And so after that, you got to do it 19 more times. And if you succeed on that, then you become a warrior to the Mawe people. That is some hardcore stuff right there. That's not any joking around there, okay? So yeah, I mean, it's very fascinating. And like I said, there's a bunch of different documentaries you can watch about this tribe on YouTube. The one that I watched, it was years and years ago, but it was so fascinating. I remember quite a bit of it. I remember them going out into the rainforest to just gather the ants to begin with. That's a very dangerous thing to do, because one bite of these things, a lot of people have likened it to getting shot by a bullet, hence the name bullet ant. Very painful sting. Apparently the most painful in the world, although I'm never going to find out. Hopefully I would never have to find that out. But when the tribe goes out to gather the ants, they basically have these little poles to like grab them off the ground, and then they make this like special elixir of like herbs and various like things. And so when they toss the ants into this elixir, it like knocks them out, but it doesn't like kill them. It just puts them in a stupor or whatever. So they knock them out with this substance, which makes them docile long enough for them to be woven into the gloves. By the way, how would you like to have that job? It's just like, okay, now you got to weave the ants, these deadly ants. Don't worry, they're knocked out, but into this glove, you gotta move fast. It's just like, okay, take it out of the okay, all right, okay. And then you make these gloves, and then they put them on the person that's trying out for the right to become a warrior. And I think the only thing they have on their arms is like charcoal. Like they cover their hands and arms in like charcoal. And then, but that doesn't really help very much. I would imagine that really wouldn't do anything. And so the ants are just stinging the crap out of them. Yeah, it looks pretty painful, and losing consciousness is not unheard of. And you're also like dancing while you're doing it. Like they're kind of like trying to dance to kind of keep your mind off of the horrible, you know, stinging, searing, white hot pain that you're experiencing, and you got to do that for 5 minutes for 20 times. So if I know my math, that's 200 minutes. Yes, I was right. And so that's like 4 hours, 5 hours. Yeah, okay. So anyway, that's the bullet ant. That's ant facts right there. There we go. Ant facts. Okay, so thanks for watching the video. This was a really long one, but I appreciate you guys watching. Remember, the berry plushies are still on sale over at Teespring. I'll remind you guys from time to time on that. Those are up for sale until I think the beginning of July. So you have the rest of June if you want yourself a berry plushie. Go check out that link down below. Thanks for watching, everybody. Tekking Berry signing out.